Alright guys, I'm going to be recording this period, so you guys are going to have to pass notes or text each other if you're over there. Everybody else needs to look up front. Let's go ahead and get our papers ready to go. So last class we folded our papers so that I could easily collect them. If you haven't already done this, you're going to go ahead and decrease this and try to get it as flat as possible. I do not recommend folding backward because I don't want you to harm your white paper. Like I just did. Okay. So at this point, just a review, we're doing 2-point perspective. How many rules are there in 2-point perspective? 2. Rule number 1 is all vertical lines go where? Straight up and down. So if your vertical lines are crooked at all, it's going to look like it's a dilapidated building. Rule number 2 is that all horizontal lines go where? To a vanishing point. So what that means is you guys need to get good at figuring out what kind of lines are what. So if you're trying to draw this house right here, what kind of line is this that goes left and right? Horizontal. Where do all horizontal lines go? Vanishing point. All right. What about the sides of the doors? Those are vertical lines. Vertical lines go where? Straight up and down. What about the top of the roof? Horizontal lines. All horizontal lines go where? What about the sides of the chimney? Vertical. All vertical lines go where? What about the sides of the roof? Ooh! And that is what we're about to learn. Here we go. All right. So as you can tell, the sides of this gable roof, everybody say gable roof.
Gable roof.
A gable roof, if we look at the side of this roof right here, we've got a box with vertical and horizontal lines. If there was a top right here, it would be horizontal. Does that make sense? This is the shorter of our two sides. So for me, my gable roof is going to be on the left side. If you drew the shorter side on the right, I would still do it on the right. Okay, I would keep with whatever is your shortest side. Okay, that's usually typically how gable roofs work. Okay, now if you look here, we have two diagonal lines that join at a tip. That tip is called the peak. Does everybody get like a peak of a mountain, the tippity top? Okay, now what part of the wall does that peak line up with? It's in the middle. Does everybody see how it's exactly in the middle? It's in the middle. So a gable roof has a peak on the middle of the shortest side. Now, here's the deal, kids. If I were to guess where the middle is, I would probably be wrong. Because our view here is large in the front and small in the back, which means that our view is going to be warped. Everybody following me? So can you guess where a middle is? Heck no. No, you cannot guess. But does anybody remember from a math class, Rosario, how to find the middle of a rectangle or a square? Always, all the time? Claire, you want to guess? What? Yeah, but I would have to guess where the half is because it's warped. There's another way to find the middle. Yeah, Christian? You draw an X. So you're going to connect the opposite corners. So everybody just watch right now. I'm going to show you how to find the middle of a wall or a ceiling. Either way. Okay, so I'm going to connect the bottom right with the top right. And this is going to get erased in just a second. So don't get your undies in a bunch. I'm going to take the right side to the left side. And right there, see how far off I was? See, that was the dot I guessed. And this is the dot that is true. That might not seem like a big stinking deal to you, but when you draw a roof that far off, it's actually feet off. Does that make sense? It will look whack. All right, everybody find the middle. Put a little dot in the middle of your wall. So we're going to our smallest side. We're connecting the opposite corners to find the middle. And we're putting a little dot in the middle. And once you get that dot, you can even erase the rest because those guidelines we do not need. I'm going to erase my guesstimate because I don't want to get confused. Now this is a lot of lines going on. So remember how I told you at the beginning that sometimes you can get lost in your drawing if you're keeping too many lines? Oh, I keep going in and out of focus. Let me fix that. So one more time, because I'm not sure it was in focus, I'm going to connect the opposite corners. And wherever those opposite corners intersect each other, that is going to be the middle. Once I get the middle, I'm going to erase those lines. Everybody found the middle? Have a dot there? Now what's interesting about this dot being in the true center of this wall is it's the middle vertical and it's the middle horizontal. That can come in handy, okay, depending on what you're drawing. It's the true center of this wall. Okay, this next part I need everyone, even if you don't have your dot yet, I need you to put your phones away. I need you to look this way. Monica? Oh, you're not in this class. You're fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is when I have this roof, I found the middle of this wall, right? Sure. So right here's the middle. From there, I'm going to go straight up however high I want that peak. Now don't do anything. Because in perspective, this can be a little bit tricky. If I want, this is not like a grandiose peak, right? It's not like humongous. If you had a grandiose peak, you would have something more like a chapel or a church vibe. Everybody feeling me? So this is more of a house vibe. If you go to the south, they actually have really high ceilings in the south because it's so humid. So the geography and the type of building is going to come into play, whatever you're building here. Okay? So if I don't want to go straight up, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead, move that out of the way. I'm going to line up this with the edge of my paper. Now notice what I can do here is I'm using my grid, my see-through grid, and lining it up with my perfect horizontal line to make sure that I'm going to get a 90-degree angle. It's perfectly straight up and down. Okay? You can use the top of your paper or the bottom of your paper, but because I'm zoomed in right now, I'm going to use this horizon line to make sure that my ruler is not crooked. Now you can tell also that it's not crooked-ish, because if I go to the side and see the gap here with the white paper, it looks even all the way down. Does everybody see that? So I'm just double checking that my ruler is truly straight up and down. Okay? Now once I do that, I'm going to go straight up. Now I have to decide on this picture here where to stop that peak. Okay? Imagine that this is the straight up and down line that's going all the way up here. I have to decide where to cut it off. But if I want a really shallow one, I have to be aware, like say I want my peak to be right here. This would be more like a shed. Does that make sense? It's really kind of shallow. If I do that and I draw that line, notice how the top of my roof is not going to be visible. It's going to go through my building. So what I want to do is for the sake of this building, want to make sure that my peak is dramatically higher than my front corner. So I'm going to pick right about here. Okay? Now once I get the peak, I'm going to, now look here kids, I'm going to take from the peak and I'm going to go to the corners and beyond. And I'm going to go to the front corner and beyond. And the reason I have to go beyond is because there are these things on a house called eaves. What do eaves do? They protect your walls from the rain. Okay, so everybody right now, go ahead and pick your peak. Decide how high to take it. I recommend going a little bit higher than your front corner. Go to the corner and beyond. Mine's a little bit off, so I'm gonna fix it. Let's see if we can get this in the correct perspective. It's kind of like this.
Oh.
It'll be up here. So we find the peak, we go as high as we want to go with a straight up and down line. And then when we get that peak, we go to the corners of the wall and beyond. We go beyond the wall because we want those eaves. Everybody getting that? Now, how many of you have your peak? I will wait. Only 2 of you have your peaks. 3. Okay. We got it, kiddos? We got a peek? Now let's take a look. I need everybody's eyes up here to understand why things are going to look a little bit odd. Notice how right now, can I see the bottom of this demo, of this like example? No. What that tells me is that the horizon line, notice my horizon line right here, is going through my house. Everybody following me? So when it is low like this, I can see the full ceiling. See how nice that ceiling look? It doesn't look weird or pinched or squished. But watch, everybody's eyes right up here, please. As I start to move this piece higher and higher, and I start to see more of the floor, do you see how I start to see less of the ceiling? Okay, so just know that because this ceiling is so high and our view is so low in the picture, we're not going to be able to see the entire ceiling. Okay? So at this point, I have this wall completely, right? Congrats to us. We've got the wall and the peak. We've got that gableness. Now what we've got at the top of the gable roof is a what kind of line? Horizontal. And all horizontal lines go where? To the vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top to that vanishing point. Now notice that I cannot see very much of my roof. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so at this point, let's get everybody's eyes up here pretty please. I haven't erased anything. I still have it going all the way to the vanishing point. I have to figure out this angle right here. Does everybody see this right here? On my house, this angle right here, this diagonal that went from the peak to the corner, I have to figure out how to cut this roof off. And if you look here, this same angle that is right here is going to be a parallel angle right in the back, and it's lined up with that eave. Okay, so notice the same thing on the back side. It looks exactly the same. So what I'm going to do, this is a parallel line. Who knows what a parallel line is? two lines that will never ever intersect. So what I have to do to get a parallel line is I'm going to line my ruler up perfectly, and then I'm going to slide it back until I hit that back corner. And that back corner is going to tell me where my back roof is. But, oh, what did I forget to do, guys? I forgot to go beyond the corner because we have to draw an eave next. Okay? Do you guys think you can handle that? Go for it. It looks a little squished. Don't love it, but it is what it is. No. You did not do it on accident. It's because your peak probably wasn't raised high enough to see it. It's okay.
It probably was that.
So now I have the peak and I have the roof up top, but I still need the bottom eaves. Right now, my wall, this horizontal line that I have right now, does not include this eave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide where to cut off this eave, and I'm going to take it to the vanishing point. Okay? I'm going to erase, and it's so squished up here, you guys. We're going to try this again. Don't worry. We're going to do an outhouse next. How exciting. So I just took the bottom of my eave to the vanishing point to make this part that's sticking off. Now, it's really hard to see, you guys. I'm sorry that your first roof is really squished like this. I probably should have made a way higher roof. Because then it would look like a church building instead of a house. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to get the back eave. See how the back eave still looks like a stick out there? But we have to make sure, you guys, these two eaves are equal. Does everybody see how these two eaves are equal? One side isn't longer than the other, okay? They're the same size. In order to figure out in perspective what it would look like, I have to take the front corner to the back vanishing point, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this front corner right here. I'm going to take it to the back vanishing point, and that's going to tell me, wow, I didn't even make my eave long enough. Right there is going to be how long it goes. And then from that base right there, I have to take that, because it's on the right side of the building, I have to take it to the right vanishing point. Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm finding this front corner. I'm figuring out how far that eave is going to go with the left vanishing point. Once I get that point, I take it to the right vanishing point. That is probably the most complex part of all of this. If you're a little bit lost, we're going to try it again with an outhouse. Okay, we're going to do a nice outhouse, a happy little outhouse. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase any of my guidelines now, so that this looks like a true gable roof. Now, something about architecture, you guys. Did you know that all doors are the same size pretty much? Did you know that when you go to the lumber yard, you're going to get 4x8 pieces of lumber? That's how big lumber is. If you're going to get a giant window, it's probably going to be 4x8. There's like a consistent size and a consistent height that people put windows. So notice on my little brick right here of a house, this window is the same height as this window. Everybody feeling me? So if we're gonna make a window that matches our first window on the left side, we have to do some guidelines. Are you guys prepared for this? All right, I'll give you 1 minute. How many of you guys have eaves? They look good. Or squished. They look squished. You're like, there are eaves, whether or not they're correct or not. It's really hard to tell when they're this high up in the air and we're so low. It'd be like standing right next to a building and trying to see the roof. You wouldn't be able to see it very well. Okay, can I get everybody's eyes right here, please? We're going to try to put a window the same height on the other side. So what I have to do, everybody watch this, I have to draw some guidelines. And my guidelines, because I have two different walls, I'm going to have two different guidelines. So watch me now. If I take the top of my roof to the front corner, or sorry, the top of my window right here, then I take it to the other vanishing point. That is going to tell me where the top of my window is. If I take the bottom of my window away from the vanishing point on the right to the corner, and then I take it to the right vanishing point, that is going to tell me where the bottom of my window is. Does everybody see how that works? Go ahead and get your guidelines from the right side of your window to your left side of the house. So we're using, those are horizontal lines, so we have to use those vanishing points. I'm lining up the top of the window to the vanishing point. I'm taking it to the front corner, and then I pivot and take it to the left vanishing point, and that's how I get it. I do the same thing for the bottom. I line up my ruler with the bottom of my window going to the right vanishing point. I extend the bottom to the front corner. I pivot and I take it to the bottom left vanishing point to get the bottom of that window. Now if I want to put this on the middle of the room, I already know where the middle is. I still have my dot right there. So that's interesting. Now, if you guys have your guidelines, what are you noticing about your guidelines? How are they changing on the left side of the house from the right side of the house? Notice how the gap looks bigger. Is anybody else noticing that the guidelines are much bigger on the left side? Why would they be bigger up front here than back here? They're closer to us. Okay? So, are we ready to draw that window in that guidelines? Everybody's eyes right here? I've got the top and bottom. I need the sides. What kind of lines are the sides of a window? Vertical. All vertical lines go where? Straight up and down. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. There is a mathematical way to tell if you're doing it correctly. But that would literally break your minds, so I'm not going to show you that. You're just gonna do your best and guesstimate. Okay? So I get my walls, and since I have the middle, I can find the middle and put my T-bar in there. Ooh, T-bar, that sounds delightful.
That place is so good.
Strawberry almond frost, am I right?
Have you ever had the blackberry lemonade?
Ooh, no.
It's just iced tea lemonade, but it's like really
But blackberry is delicious.
blackberry lemonade.
Welcome, children, welcome.
Never tried that.
Now we're all hungry.
Scrumdiddly.
Perspective. I'm erasing my guidelines while you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I know. And then you just
Now you guys, this window makes it so that I can see that inside back top corner of my wall. So what do I have to do with that line? I gotta make it not dotted inside of the window. So I'm gonna make it a solid line that I can see through the window. Yeah, just put your phone over there. Are you guys ready to move on? Okay, let's imagine that each one of these walls has the identical window as the one that you put on the right side. So instead of using guidelines going horizontally, we're going to use guidelines going vertically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure my ruler is straight. So I'm lining it up with the corner of my paper or somewhere. You guys, I need to zoom out so you can see. I'm lining it up on the bottom of my paper right here with a line, making sure that it's, or I could even, honestly, I could use the bottom. I have so much junk on my table. Make sure that your line is straight up and down. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my guidelines very lightly all the way down. Okay? Once I get those guidelines to tell me the left and right, I can just guesstimate where I want the tops using the right vanishing point and bottoms of all of my windows. Did you guys see it happen right there?
Yeah.
So go ahead and get 2 more identical windows to the top one. And I'm going to go back and make my lines a little bit darker so you guys can see them a little bit better. And then you can also line up the middle bar going straight up and down as well. I guess it's a window pane is what it's called, yeah? Yes. A what?
You know what this glaze is?
Which glaze?
Rare earth.
Should be over there in the brown section.
This morning when I woke up, she was so
If you can see a corner through your window, you need to make it solid.
what happened? I have no idea what I did.
And then erase your guidelines.
All you do is slam.
I would not live here.
What did I do? I would not. There is
You definitely want to erase your guidelines because we're getting so many lines that it's getting a little bit confusing. Is anybody getting confused yet? Shh, you guys, I'm recording. Don't forget. Let's keep it quiet. Now, while I'm waiting on you guys to finish, I'm going to darken up my lines so that this is a little bit clearer. Are you guys starting to get the hang of the vertical lines and horizontal lines and when to use what?
Yeah.
We're trying to learn how to use guidelines to make sure that things are uniform. Now we have one more thing to draw on here, and that is a front door. So that is what's coming up next. Now I'm just taking a second to clean up all my corners, make sure everything's all neat and tidy. Now here's something interesting about doors and windows. This is something you probably never noticed, but doors and windows are always lined up. They're always the same height. So if you guys can see over there, there's one window at the top behind the cabinets. It's the same height as our doors. So what do I need to make sure that my door is the same height as my window? A guideline. Now if you did not draw your door high enough to look like, or your window high enough to look like a door, you don't need a guideline per se. But I'm going to go ahead and use my guidelines. Figure out how high to make my door. And I'm just going to make a really simple straight up and down door. Okay, I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I'm lining up my ruler with the corner of my, the edge of my paper. Make sure it's straight up and down. I do a vertical, slide it over, kind of guesstimate how big is a door. Okay, and now I have my door. It's just like a window, but a different shape. What side of the door is handled on? Like the right side, maybe? Now, if you finish before everyone else, you could draw some cute little stuff in the door. Like you could draw a door window. A door, windowy door. Now where that window is, I can see the back corner of my wall, so I'm going to make a solid line inside of there. Clean it all up. You do not need a fancy door. I'm just bored, so I am drawing a fancy board door. A board door. A board door. Bordeaux. Bordeaux.
It's gonna be all pretty.
Now, we need a walkway to a porta potty. Okay, kids? We need a porta potty. There's no room for a bathroom in a 3-story hut, okay? We're doing a porta potty. Wrap your minds around a porta potty. It's happening. My mind is wrapped. We're also going to try to do a dog house and a pool if we have time, so emotionally prepare yourselves.
Oh, they're over here.
Mine is. Well, these windows are like symmetrical. like the square idea.
Still not over here. Is it over here?
Okay, are you guys ready to get a little nauseous? Here we go.
Yeah.
It's happening. Alright, do you guys see these houses? Everybody look at them. We have a sidewalk at these houses. Everybody see the sidewalk on the ground here? What kind of lines are the sidewalks? Okay, curvy, wavy, but are they horizontal or vertical? Are they horizontal or vertical? You don't know, but let's look right here, kids. Where are all, hush your little baby mouths, look right here. Shh, bet it. All of the vertical lines are what parts of the buildings? The what? Straight up and down. All of those areas are corners for the most part of the buildings. Does that make sense? Does everybody see how vertical lines come out of the ground? Horizontal lines are horizontal with the earth. They're flat. All of these lines, all the sidewalk lines, do they come out of the earth or are they flat on the earth? They're flat on the earth. So all of these lines are going to be horizontal lines. They are not going to come out of the earth. Okay, now let me show you what that means. If you were to, get rid of that. If I were to draw a sidewalk coming out of this and I used a vertical line, let's just say I did it wrong because I'm a noob, and I did a vertical line from my door, it would look like a ladder going up to it because it's coming out of the earth. Does everybody see that? So a vertical line is never going to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to only use horizontal lines. In order to go out, if I use this horizontal line right here, this vanishing point, it'll come this way, right? If I go from here to this vanishing point, it will go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away from this vanishing point from the corners to make my walkway. From the corners. Then, oh, I should go farther with that one. Then I'm going to take it to the left vanishing point. Does everybody see that? Can you guys make a walkway out the left side of your buildings? Okay, we're using horizontal lines. So we're actually sometimes going toward the vanishing point and other times we're going away from it. So from the bottom corners, we're going to go away from the right vanishing point. From the bottom corners of that door. And then we're going to take the ends of those lines to the left vanishing point. Now, if you are fast and you are bored while we're waiting on kids, you could very easily start making, you know how like sidewalks have cracks?
Yes.
You could make the cracks in the sidewalk. Which I will do now. But as I'm drawing these sidewalks, they should look like they're getting smaller as they get farther away. So my lines are going to get slightly closer to each other as I go. Like I said, there is a mathematic way to make sure that they're all even, but I'm not going to stress you out with that. I don't think our brains can handle it on a Monday morning. Really, I should show you because I'm your teacher and I should push you, but alas.
Wait.
So, sidewalks, rivers, anything, what else is flat on the ground? Parking lots,
Roads.
roads. All of that is horizontal lines. That's it. Now, where is this sidewalk going? Well, it's going to the porta potty, obviously. We got space for a porta potty? Yeah, on the white paper. It's a little, porta potties are little. Or not a porta potty, an outhouse. We're gonna do an outhouse.
Sorry.
It's different. It's gonna have a roof.
They are.
Porta potties have a root.
Now, sweet kids, I'm gonna do the entire porta potty. You guys are gonna watch the entire thing, and then you're gonna figure it out on your own.
Got it.
You think you can handle that?
Yes.
That was lackluster at best.
Too many squares.
All right, I don't care if you get every brick on the sidewalk. As long as you've got a sidewalk, I want you to look up front. Who does not have a sidewalk? Okay, everybody stop what you're doing and look up front. I'm gonna do it all from start to finish. If you don't pay attention, I'm not doing it twice. Okay? So, here's the deal. We're gonna put our zip it in the back, please. I'm gonna put our porta potty back here. It's a smaller building. It shouldn't be higher than a single floor. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by getting my tops and bottom of my porta potty by using the tops and bottom of my first ceiling. Okay, that's my first floor. Alright? I'm going to get the front corner of my porta potty, which I need to make sure is straight up and down. Once I get my front corner, I take the tops and bottom to where? The vanishing point. I already have the top and bottom here, so I'm going to take it to this vanishing point. Now, have any of you guys ever seen an outhouse? If you have played Fortnite, you've seen an outhouse. Or if you've been to Canada. Either way. Okay? I say that because I'm Canadian. I've been to Canada, and that's where my outhouse memories come from. But, I don't know. Does everyone in Canada have a porta potty? I'm going to get my sides with a straight up and down wall, and it's kind of like a giant cube. Am I right? Okay, so now I have the sides of my, what are these things called? Outhouse? What am I missing? The roof. Okay? But in order for me to get the roof, we're going to do another gable roof. Okay? So how do I find the middle of the peak? I make an X. So I'm going to go ahead and make the X on the same side. Get a corner here. From the middle of the intersection, I'm going to go where? Straight up and down. Okay? Once I find where my peak is, let's say I want it to go that high, I'll take it where? Where did I take the top of my peak? To the corners and? Beyond. Because we don't want the water to damage a porta potty or an outhouse. That would be a smelly mess. Like if we want to keep something from molding, it's that house. Okay? From the top of my peak, where do I get the roof of my house? What kind of line is that? Horizontal lines go where? To the vanishing point. So I go ahead and take that to the vanishing point. Now what part of my roof am I missing? The back. How do I get that back? It's a parallel line. So I line it up here. I scoot it back to that back corner. I take it to the corner and beyond. And then I connect the eaves. Erase what's extra. And then I'll do a parallel one on the back, and I'm not going to measure it. Don't tell your teacher. Okay? Now, I've got a porta potty. Get yourself a porta potty.
I'll write that.
Not a porta potty, an outhouse. And every outhouse needs to have a moon on it, so you better get ready to draw yourself a moon. I'm going to make sure my porta potty's door is lined up with my front door, because doors are all the same size, kids. Oof, we need a walkway to the porta potty because no one wants to take dirty, muddy feet into the porta potty. Sometimes there's treasure in the Fortnite outhouses. Should we put a window in an outhouse? That was a trick question, you weirdos. No windows in the outhouse. Ain't nobody want to see you taking a squat. That's why.
There are some very white people. Hello, fellow camper. You got a photo of the time. It's like a well, yeah. You don't want to go super far to get to the outhouse. I know. I never did that.
Alright, we got a pool and a gazebo to go. Or should we do a gazebo or a doghouse?
No clue.
Doghouse.
Oh yeah, 8th and 7th grade name was you never hung out in any of those, so you probably don't remember at all. I must be planning my eyebrows. Yeah. Thank you. I'm not real.
I'm gonna come around and check out your outhouse.
We have to like go up, right? We have to go somewhere. You have to put X and then you go up. Yeah. That is yours? Very specific.
Alright, keep going, guys. We still have a pool and a doghouse to go. Because I want to teach you how to make pyramids. I taught you how to do pyramids, but I haven't taught them how to do pyramids.
So could I just go ahead?
Keep going.
Sorry, she's like.
Clearly, you guys can't be trusted to do things on your own. Let's go. Good job, Misha. Good job, Misha. I'm doing it.
David, do you ever get That was a great impression. No, that was such a good impression. No, no, it sounds just like
So, kiddos, shh. Seriously, we need to finish this because we got things to do. But did you guys notice how much easier it is to do a roof below the horizon line than above the horizon line?
Yeah.
When your ceilings are way high in the air, it's hard to see and they look all squat and weird. Yeah, find the middle of the wall and go straight up to find the peak.
Yeah, I was short. I just finished short sleeve. It's getting warm again. All of last week, I walked out the door and it's like, no, I'm just gonna put on a
I am. Yes, I am. Look at that. So they're like, oh my god.
Does he look a lot different?
Yes. It's like shocking. I was like, wow. What is that? Is that Christian?
I would share with you, but I'm recording. Alright, is it pool time yet?
Like it's actually. I don't know.
Now, do you guys remember back? Can everybody be quiet again? Do you guys remember back to the very first lesson where I drew whatever you guys wanted me to draw? Do you guys remember what I said the goal of this whole unit is for you to be able to do? Sketch using perspective. Are we sketching here?
No.
We're like micro precision here. Okay? So I want everyone to stop what they're doing for one moment. You can come back to it. But I want to teach you guys how to sketch in perspective to mesh with our actual precision work. Okay? So those of you that are ahead of the game, I want you to see this outhouse right here. What are some details that would make it look more like an outhouse? Wood texture, like maybe some what do you call those on a roof? Shingles. Maybe there was a door frame on the door. Maybe there was a handle on the door. Okay, everybody look right here. Maybe the cutout of the wood had a shadow in it. When I'm drawing and sketching in perspective, I want to be aware of, if I was to draw it perfectly, where I'd be going. So if you look here, the shingles here on this roof, all are parallel. They're all going to the right vanishing point. Does that make sense? You guys see that on there, that texture? Okay? So instead of using my ruler in your free time, I want to encourage you guys to sketch using the vanishing points. Okay? Try to get some details. I can also maybe come in here and put in a door jamb, just sketching it out. Okay? So when you're a little bit ahead, I want you to go to a portion of this drawing and I want you to sketch some lifelike details. Everybody following me? Okay, let's take a moment. Everybody pick a window to improve the door or the window panel so that it looks actually thick.
My windows are too far gone.
I'm still using the rules of perspective, but I'm not actually using a ruler. Okay?
The only good window is
Alright, everybody, I just want you to sketch out one window, and then we're going to move on to the pool. I could even get the thickness of the window jamb. You know, like that place where cats sit? The window seal. Still. Alright, you guys ready to get a pool? Now tell me, kids, is a pool flat on the ground or does it come out of the ground like a building? It's flat on the ground, but it also goes into the ground. But in order to know where it's going to go into the ground, we've got to get the flatness first. I need everybody's eyes up here. Here we go. I'm going to put what do you call it? A pool on the right side of this house. So I'm using, since it's flat, I'm using horizontal lines. Horizontal lines go where? To the vanishing point. So I've got two horizontal lines going to this vanishing point. And then I'm going to close it off. I'm just going to make a simple rectangle pool by going to the other vanishing point. Now does everybody see how it looks like I have a flat? Now that is a pretty big pool. But there you go. There's my ginormous pool. Everybody go ahead and get a flat pool to the right. And then I'll show you how to make it look like there's a deep end and a shallow end. We start with that rectangle. That rectangle is flat. That rectangle is made of horizontal lines going to vanishing points. I don't think we're going to have enough time for a pyramid. Over. Alright, do you guys have your rectangle flat on the ground? Alright, can I get everybody to stop what they're doing and look up here really quick, please? We're going to move on. Shh. Now notice that these are just rectangles also. These houses that I have over here, they are rectangles. It starts out just like a pool. But instead of it going into the ground, it's coming out of the ground. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So if I draw a line up from this corner, is it going into the ground or out of the ground? Out. But for a pool, I want to go into the ground. If I take a vertical line from this corner right here and make it go down inside the ground, Will I be able to see that corner? What's in my way to be able to see that corner? The ground. Ground is not see-through. It's dirt, okay, and foliage, whatever. The only corner I'm actually going to see is which corner?
The top left.
The back left corner. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put the deep end in the back. I'm going to go straight up and down with a vertical line. From the bottom, I'm going, watch the whole thing, kiddos. I'm going to go to the left vanishing point. I'm going to go to the right vanishing point. However, you know how like deep ends do and they like turn from deep end to shallow end?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a shallow end and then I'm going to make it move into a deep end. Did everybody see that? And I'm going to sketch that. So see how that looks? So this one is going here. I'll sketch it out for you so you can tell. This line right here is going to this vanishing point. This shallow end line is also going to this vanishing point. The deep is going straight up and down. And the left side is going to the left vanishing point. Good luck. If you have extra time, you could put a diving board in there. I'm just saying. You could do it. How big you draw the diving board is going to tell you how big this pool is. And since I'm done and I'm bored, I'm going to put in some nice details by sketching. I'll make the diving board look thick with some thickness using the vanishing points. I'm going to draw a nice looking patio around the pool so that the children don't die. And they're running. I think that's all we have time for today. Yay. Ooh, see my back corner and how bad it looks right there? That's because I was sketching. I gotta bring that lower. There, that looks better.
Where's the board that my piece was on? Did it get put back in the boards?
Yeah, I might have used it. It might be back there.
Okay.
Probably on the gray rolly rack. Were you able to sand it all off, Lola?
Yeah, for the most part.
Good.
There's like a lot of the pieces on the wings I'm kind of scared to sand off.
I'll sand them off. Are they chipping stuff?
No, I took most
If
of
they're
it.
not chipping, then just leave it.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
Okay, you guys are gonna make your final marks. Go ahead and make sure you have your name on these. Some of you did not. Let's go ahead and fold them back. But I think we're done with these. Are we done with these? You want to add detail on it? No.